Hi, today I'm going to do a book review of Cannibals and Missionaries by Mary McCarthy. I picked this book up looking for something by Mary McCarthy, and I was in the fiction section, and this is the only one they had at the library at the time. And the title really intrigued me. It's a slow burn for me, at least. Mary McCarthy wrote Cannibals and Missionaries in 1979. I think it's, oh my, 17th book. It's her 17th book and 6th novel, it says. I've really struggled to figure out how to describe this book, and the best description from me is it's kind of like Ann Patchett's Bel Canto, tending toward Lord of the Flies. The Encyclopedia Britannica online calls it a novel of ideas that probes the psychology of terrorism. And I found that it's a very deep character exploration, and it jumps among multiple points of view that all, however, seem to share a latent narcissism. I think a couple of terms I've seen used to describe McCarthy's work, and this book in particular, is biting and unrelenting. And I would have to agree there. Another Goodreads reviewer described it as, well, let me jump back. So Cannibals and Missionaries is, it starts out with an introduction to the individuals who are going to make up a sort of a mission, an observational mission to Tehran in 1975. And along the way, their plane is hijacked. Their plane is hijacked on the Paris to Tehran leg. And this is where the other Goodreads reviewer description comes in. The plane is initially hijacked for this group of do-gooders. When the hijackers inadvertently learn of the art collectors on board, they too are taken. And they're taken hostage to a polder in the New Flevoland district of Holland. It's, like I said, it's a very deep character exploration. So, and it's a very restricted setting, of course, because they're hostages. In a similar way to Ann Patchett's Bel Canto, all of the action of the book has to take place in the hostage setting, which doesn't change. So it's a very intellectual type of work. So along the way you get a lot of religious discussion, art discussion, and that sort of drama or intrigue of people of all sorts mixing in the same enclosed space. And it asks a lot of questions about, the book asks a lot of questions about what is the value of life and what is the value of art, and how do you compare the two, and whose life might be more valuable than others. Is that something to celebrate or not? A reviewer from the publication year, Mary Gordon, who was writing in the New York Times, had a few interesting things to say about this book. One being, she, McCarthy, has never been easy on herself or her characters, or tried to make anyone look better. And like I said, I felt like all of the characters share this kind of narcissism. Gordon describes it as a lively pessimism. And I felt like in some ways that was what distinguishes McCarthy's perspective from Ann Patchett's perspective in Bel Canto. They're dealing with the same scenario, essentially, different settings, but a similar scenario. And while I felt Ann Patchett did a lot more to describe the relationships that developed among the different characters, in particular the cannibals versus the missionaries, the hijackers versus the hostages, McCarthy really stayed in the minds of single characters, and there were relationships developing, but again, it was just this insularity of thought. People didn't really seem to change over the course of this book, which was, it was odd. At the same time, I thought that this other description by Gordon captures one of the main ideas throughout Cannibals and Missionaries, is that there are heroes on both the committee side, the hostage side, and among the terrorists. So while people don't really change over the course of the book, just that intense, unrelenting commentary really does illustrate how people are people. They all have similar motivations. They just get expressed in different ways. And I think if you enjoyed that intellectual discussion part of Bel Canto, you might enjoy Cannibals and Missionaries. But I also found that there were a lot of references that I didn't understand, even though I've studied history and I've studied terrorism. And I do know bits and pieces of both French and Dutch. A lot of it just felt like a little bit out of my reach. So I imagine this book was a lot more powerful around the time that it was first published, which isn't a criticism of the author. I guess just a caution if you go into it expecting it to be totally approachable. It's not. You do need to kind of pause and think about things and maybe look things up along the way. I don't know, maybe trying to find anything else that I had written down. Yeah, I really enjoyed the book. And I'm looking forward to reading other McCarthy books, particularly her travelogues, Venice Observed and The Stones of Florence, because I've gone there. We went to both of those places on our honeymoon, so I think having that little bit extra context will help me appreciate more of what McCarthy has to offer, because she has a lot to say, and I feel like I could only get the surface instead of the depth that she was giving in Cannibals and Missionaries. Yeah, so that's my review. Thanks.